Hare Krishna. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhare Jaya Girivaradhare Yashodhanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhare Jaya Girivaradhare Yashodhanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodhanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Jaya Om Vishnu Para Paramhamsa Privaracharya Sadhastana Shri A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jaya Om Vishnu Para Paramhamsa Privaracharya Sadhastana Shri Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Maharaj Ki Jai. Ananta Goti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Sagaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Radha Radhanath Ki Jai, Shriman Mahaprabhu Ki Jai, Shri Giriraj Govardhana Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Gau Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So today we will be speaking from Krishna book. Chapter 47, delivering the message of Krishna to the gopis. So this chapter is very, very long, and we may not finish it within the time that's allotted, but I will try to summarize the chapter by just, giving the gist of it and reading certain parts of the Krishna book. So let's begin with some prayers. Om Jnana Timirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaya Tadati Swapadantikam. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Chakatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radhakanta Namasute Taptakanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanuste Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhescha Kripa Sindhubhya cha Patitanam Pavinebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare. So the title is the chapter is entitled Delivering the Message of Krishna to the Gopis. So we'll just read a few paragraphs and try to explain. When the gopis saw Uddhava, they observed that his features almost exactly resembled those of Krishna, and they could understand that he was a great devotee of Krishna. His arms were very long, and his eyes were just like the petals of a lotus flower. His face was very beautiful, wore a garland of lotus flowers. Having achieved the liberation of the Sarupya and thus having the same bodily features of the Lord. Uddhava looked almost like Krishna. In Krishna's absence, the gopis had been coming dutifully to visit Mother Yashoda's house early in the morning. So we see here that one of the types of liberation is being described, and that is Sarupya Mukti. Sarupya Mukti is to have the same bodily features of the Supreme Lord. So there's different types of liberation. Sarupya, which is having the same bodily features. Salokya, to live on the same planet of the Lord. Shasti, which is to have opulence, the same opulence as the Lord. Samipya, to have the same, to have the association of the Lord directly. And what's the other one? Shasti, Samipya, Sarupya, Salokya. Yeah, so basically these are the 5 types of different liberations that one can achieve. And then so this is being described here that Uddhava, he achieved the same bodily features of the Lord, Sarupya Mukti. And he was given the task to go to Vrindavan to give a message to the gopis, because they've been in separation from Krishna for a very, very long time. And they were basically, couldn't live without him. And when they saw Uddhava with the same bodily features as Lord Krishna, then, they were a little pacified, but, he is not Krishna. So in this way, they had some consolence, but even then. Right, so let's just go on reading. In Krishna's absence, the gopis had been coming dutifully to visit Mother Yashoda's house early in the morning. They knew that Nanda Maharaj and Mother Yashoda were always grief-stricken, and they had made their first duty to come and pay respects to the most exalted elder personalities of Vrindavan. Seeing the friends of Krishna, Nanda and Yashoda would remember Krishna himself and be satisfied, and the gopis also would be pleased by seeing Nanda and Yashoda. So here we see that, the gopis used to go and visit Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj early in the morning. So, because everybody in Vrindavan was grief-stricken by the absence of Krishna. So let's continue reading. When the gopis saw that Uddhava was representing Krishna even in bodily features, they thought he must be a soul completely surrendered unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They began to contemplate, who is this boy who looks just like Krishna? He has the same eyes like lotus petals, the same raised nose and beautiful face. He is smiling in the same way, and in all respects he resembles Krishna, Shyamasundar, the beautiful blackish boy. He is even dressed exactly like Krishna. Where has this boy come from? Who is this fortunate girl who has him for a husband? Thus they talked among themselves. They were very anxious to know about him, and because they were simple, unsophisticated village girls, they surrounded Uddhava. So we see here that, they were so captivated by Uddhava's beauty that they surrounded him, and they wanted to know, what was he doing there? He resembles Krishna exactly, and what was he doing there? So we'll see that, in time, as we go on reading, we see that the gopis' separation from Krishna is so intense that, that they start talking about Krishna. When they saw Uddhava, they start talking about Krishna, and they couldn't stop talking about Krishna. So this is basically Krishna consciousness, to be always absorbed in the thoughts of Krishna. So we find that, I will just relate an incident that was, or a pastime that was given to us by Brihat Maharaj. And he was saying that once Krishna was contemplating, he was in the spiritual world, and he was contemplating, this love that the gopis have for me. I cannot fathom it. And, I want to taste this love, but, it's, how am I going to taste this love? And then he basically was, in deep thought, and Radharani saw this, and she asked Krishna, my dear Krishna, what are you so deeply meditating upon? And Krishna said, well, I'm just thinking about, your love for me and how much you are captivated by me, and I'm trying to experience this love that you have for me. And how am I to experience this love? And then she says, the only way you can experience this love is actually by becoming me. And how are you going to become me? Because, we are two individual personalities. You cannot become me. So how are you going to taste this love? And then Krishna came up with an idea. I have an idea. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to go down to the material world and assume this love, this form, of Lord Chaitanya. So Lord Chaitanya is basically Krishna in the form of Radharani's, in the mood of Radharani and her color. So in this way, he accepted this form of Lord Chaitanya, so he could taste the Radha Bhav, the loving emotions that Radharani has for Krishna. So in this way, that's why he comes to this material world as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he basically tries to experience this love and give this love to all of us. And how does he give this love to all of us? By the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So within the Mahamantra is imbued love of God. All we need to do is just tap into it, try to chant attentively, and in this way we will gain love for Krishna, Krishna Prem. It'll take many, many lifetimes, yeah, we know that, but still we're on the right path and we, heading towards the right direction. So we should actually try to chant with attention, even if, even within this lifetime, we can go back home, back to Godhead, if we put our minds to it and, chant attentively. So this is the benediction that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come to give us, right? So this love that the residents of the spiritual world have for Krishna is no ordinary love. It is like, it is, in the Bhagavad Gita, it is explained, 9:13, Mahatmanas tu mampartha devim prakriti ashrita, that those who are actually great souls are covered by the Lord's internal potency. Those who are absorbed in Krishna consciousness 24 hours a day. Those who are always engaged. Shri Radha Radhanath ki jai, Shriman Mahaprabhu ki jai, Shri Giriraj ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So those who are always engaged in devotional service are under the influence of Devi Prakriti. Devi Prakriti means the internal potency of the Lord. So those who are always constantly engaged, in the devotional service of the Lord, whether they're cooking for Krishna, sweeping for Krishna, washing for Krishna, all this is basically done under the internal potency of the Lord, or the Yoga Maya Shakti. So, we basically try to understand the gopis and Krishna, at least Srimati Radharani. Who are these gopis and why is Krishna so attracted to them? So, many mundane scholars may ask this question, like, why is Krishna, dancing in the middle of the night with the gopis, This seems so immoral for Krishna to do. And when I was at home recently, this question came up, by my mom, who's a pastor, and I was watching Radha Krishna, the serial, and she asked me, what you're watching, and then I explained, and so basically I was at this point where Krishna, Radharani marries Abhimanyu, and the whole thing, and then Krishna, and then I was trying to explain, and then she says, but why does Krishna do that? Why does he basically, this is immoral. How can you do something like that? And then I tried to explain. I told her, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains that Aham sarvasya prabhava mata sarvam parvachite, and that Krishna, this material and spiritual worlds are owned and controlled by him. And also in the Sri Upanishad, Isha Vasham idham sarvam yatkincha jagatam jagat, right? That he's explaining that everything animate and inanimate within this material world is owned and controlled by me, right? And the wise who perfectly know this should actually, sorry, I'm saying it wrong, but one should use only those things that are set aside for his quota, and should leave other things, knowing well to whom they belong. So basically Krishna owns and controls everything. So I said, even you belong to Krishna, I belong to Krishna, every one of us belong to Krishna. So if Krishna takes, something of his and use it, who can blame him? And I said, then I gave her an analogy and I said, okay, Mom, just say, you own everything here. You just say you own this car, right? It belongs to you. And if you take this car for a drive, can anyone, can the traffic police stop you and say that, this is not your car? No, it is yours because it's registered on your name. So in this way, we can understand that, these are Krishna's energies. And if he uses it for his pleasure, who can blame him? The real thieves are we in the material world who takes everything from the Lord without offering it back to him. So we are the real thieves. And, I tried to explain to her in this way, and then she says, oh, whatever, if you believe that, then it's fine. So I guess she wasn't convinced, but, at least this message was out there. Yeah, I put this message into her ear that everything belongs to Krishna. So so like this, so Krishna, when he acts like this, with the gopis, then it's his energy that he's playing with, and whatever is within the Supreme Lord is also present within us, right? So, we have the tendencies to, to fight. So Krishna also has a tendency to fight, and he comes down to, he cannot fight in the spiritual world. So he comes down to this material world, and he has a good fight with the demons, like that. So, and these demons are ordinary people also. They're also coming from the spiritual world, like Jagai and Madai fell down to this material world to take birth as demons, and Krishna came and he basically, Jai and Vijay, and they took birth as Ravana and Kumbhakarna, like this. So in this way, Krishna was able to engage in a fight with them, in sporting activities, in fighting with them. So like this, we see that Krishna also has all these qualities that's within, or we have all the qualities that's within Krishna, basically. We put it like that, right? So I just want to read something to you from the Adhi Leela of Chaitanya Charitamrita, wherein, let's hope I can find it now. Yeah, so let me just go there. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So this chapter is entitled The Confidential Reasons for the Appearance of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and we'll go to text 35, and I just want to read something to you from there, just to establish the potency of the Supreme Lord, right? And text 30 actually. And how, the Srila Prabhupada in this purport, he is describing the gopis and their position. So Prabhupada says, those under the spell of the material energy cannot at all appreciate the activities of Yoga Maya, for a conditioned soul can hardly understand the pure reciprocation between the Lord and his devotees. But by executing devotional service under the regulative principles, one becomes very highly elevated and then begin to appreciate and the dealings of pure love under the management of Yoga Maya. In the spiritual loving sentiment induced by Yoga Maya's potency, both Lord Shri Krishna and the damsels of Vraja forget themselves in spiritual rapture. By the influence of such forgetfulness, the attractive beauty of the gopis plays a prominent part in the transcendental satisfaction of the Lord, who has nothing to do with mundane sex. Because spiritual love of God is above everything mundane, the gopis superficially seem to transgress the codes of mundane morality. This perpetually puzzles mundane moralists. Therefore, Yoga Maya acts to cover the Lord and his pastimes from the eyes of mundaners, as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 7:25, where the Lord says that he reserved the right of not being exposed to everyone. So we see that this is the Lord's internal potency, or Yoga Maya, that is actually coming to play here. And, Prabhupada goes on and he says, the acts of Yoga Maya make it possible for the Lord and the gopis in loving ecstasy to sometimes meet and sometimes separate. These transcendental loving affairs of the Lord are unimaginable to empirists because involved in the impersonal feature of the absolute truth. So we see here that Prabhupada is actually explaining how that this Yoga Maya potency covers, the devotees in the spiritual realm, so that they can actually experience the highest ecstasies of the spiritual world, whereas in this material world we are covered by Mahamaya, or the material energy. We cannot understand what's beyond the spiritual, in the spiritual world. We cannot understand that because we are prone, or we are so conditioned to thinking in the way we think in this material world. We cannot understand higher subject matters. So therefore, Prabhupada is explaining here that this Yoga Maya potency acts to cover the Lord and his pastimes from the eyes of mundaners, right? As confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 7:25, that Krishna reserves the right not to be exposed to everyone. So we see that when Krishna was here 5,000 years ago, not everybody could understand that he was the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because he was covered by his Yoga Maya potency. So we'll go on now, and in the next, in verse 34, Prabhupada speaks about the Sahajyas and how the Sahajyas imitate the Lord's loving pastimes, and the loving pastimes of the Lord, where he's dealings with the gopis, and Prabhupada says that this is Krishna's dealings with the gopis are actually on the mode of unadulterated goodness, or Suddha Sattva. It is, one cannot really understand this, but the Sahajyas, they are under the influence of Mahamaya, and they want to indulge like this like the Lord's pastimes. So, so I'll just explain what a Sahajya is. A Sahajya is basically a group of people that try to imitate the Lord's pastimes, especially his loving dealings with the gopis. And, there may be male forms. They dress up like females as gopis, and you will find this in Vrindavan like that. And they try to imitate Krishna's pastimes. Or you'll get males who want to have a following of females and indulge with them in sexually, in order to imitate the Lord's pastimes, and this is what is called sahajias. People who imitate the Lord's pastimes, especially the rasa dance and things like that. So they want to dance in the dead of the night, with the gopis and things like that. So Prabhupada explains that, just for sense gratification, in the name of devotional service, they do things like this. And we see that Krishna Prem is not a cheap thing. It cannot be acquired by imitating. It's very difficult to understand the Lord's pastimes. So now I just want to read to you something from the CC, which is actually where Prabhupada, he speaks about this, and that is in text 34. We'll just go there quickly. And here Prabhupada says that a so-called class of devotees known as sahajias try to imitate the Lord's pastimes, although they have no understanding of the amorous love in his expansions of pleasure potency. Their superficial imitation can create havoc on the path of advancement of one's spiritual relationship with the Lord. Material sex indulgence can never be equated with spiritual love, which is in unadulterated goodness. The activities of the sahajias simply lower one deeper into the material contamination of the senses and mind. Krishna's transcendental pastimes display eternal servitorship to Adaksaja, the Supreme Lord, who is beyond all concept through material senses. Materialistic conditioned souls do not understand the transcendental exchanges of love, but they like to indulge in sense gratification in the name of devotional service. The activities of the Lord can never be understood by irresponsible persons who think the pastimes of Radha and Krishna to be ordinary affairs. The rasa dance is arranged by Krishna's internal potency, Yoga Maya, and it is beyond the grasp of materially affected persons. Trying to throw mud into transcendence with their perversity, the sahajias misinterpret the saying tat paradvena nirmalam and tat paro bhavet. By interpreting tadrishi krida, they want to indulge in sex while pretending to imitate Lord Krishna. But one must actually understand the import of the words through the intelligence of the authorized Goswamis. And here Prabhupada quotes Narottam Das Thakur, where in his song he says, Rupa Raghunatha Pare Hai Bhakuti Kabe Ham Bhaji Bose Jugala Piriti. The translation of this is, when Narottam Das Thakur is singing and he's saying, when I shall be eager to understand the literature given by the Goswamis, then I shall be able to understand the transcendental loving affairs of Radha and Krishna. In other words, unless one is trained under the cyclic succession of the Goswamis, one cannot understand Radha and Krishna. The conditioned souls are naturally averse to understanding the spiritual existence of the Lord, and if they try to know the transcendental nature of the Lord's pastimes while they remain absorbed in materialism, they are sure to blunder like the sahajias. So here Prabhupada is saying that even the great acharyas like Narottam Das Thakur, they are praying to the Lord, when am I going to understand your transcendental loving pastimes? How can I understand this? And, in his song, Narottam Das Thakur, he writes like this. my dear Lord, when shall I be eager to understand? You know, he has a thirst to understand these topics because these topics are on a very elevated spiritual level that we cannot really understand it. You know, so he's praying, and we should all take this mood from Narottam Das Thakur and pray to the Lord to actually allow us some entrance into his pastimes so we can understand something. You know, so therefore I thought not to read the whole of this chapter because it's very intense, and just try to explain the position of Radha and Krishna as explained by Srila Prabhupada in the Chaitanya Charitamrita before we get into the real deal here. So I will just try to go on and explain how Prabhupada is actually presenting this. It's a summarized version of the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, and here in the Krishna book, Prabhupada summarized this for us. So we find that Uddhava is visiting Vrindavan, and the gopis are basically besides themselves. You know, they are in total Krishna consciousness, fully absorbed in Krishna's pastimes. So ISKCON, right, that we are part of, the Hare Krishna movement, is basically Krishna consciousness, International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So we are meant to come to this level of being totally absorbed in Krishna's pastimes. But we see that we are so far from that, right? And it's, the gopis, they want, we find in this chapter that they want to forget Krishna, but they cannot forget Krishna. And we are the total opposite. You know, we have forgotten Krishna, and we are trying to remember him, right? By reciting his pastimes, by chanting Hare Krishna, by engaging in devotional service. So we are like so far from that, you know. And we need to come up to that level. Our hearts are so dirty. You know, there's so many things. We are still attracted to mundane things in this material world. We are like, you know, 1 minute we are Krishna conscious, the next minute we are distracted, like that. So it keeps on flickering, you know, between Krishna consciousness and material nature, you know. So that's our position, right? And we find here that Radharani, she is saying that, you know, one should not hear about Krishna. One should not hear about Krishna, because as soon as one drop of transcendental nectar enters the ears of a person, you know, all his material attachments is vanquished. And all material attachments are vanquished. One gives up one's wife, home, family, children, and all that is dear to him. So this is the potency of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. If one hears about the pastimes of Krishna, then, you know, his material life is finished, is vanquished, right? And slowly, gradually, as one hears every Sundays, you may come to the temple and hear about Krishna, or maybe during the week you put a lecture on, like that. So slowly, you know, you cannot, it's very subtle, you cannot actually understand this, but your material life is diminishing, right? And this is what the Radharani says. And then we find that, you know, one gopi, you know, she is basically, let me just see if I can find it here. It's in the book. We'll just see how the gopis are basically speaking about about Krishna, and they are so totally absorbed in Krishna consciousness that they cannot actually, you know, basically give up speaking about Krishna. So we see that another gopi said, Krishna has killed his enemy, and he has victoriously achieved the kingdom of Kamsa. Maybe he is married with a king's daughter by this time and living happily, his kinsmen and friends. among his kinsmen and friends. Therefore, why should he come to this village of Vrindavan? Another gopi said, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the husband of the goddess of fortune, and he is self-sufficient. He has no business either with us, the girls in the Vrindavan forest, or the city girls in Mathura. He is the great super soul. He has nothing to do with any of us, either here or there. So they're in so much of separation from Krishna that they're speaking like this, They're saying like, Krishna doesn't want us. He's more satisfied there in Vrindavan, in Mathura, wherever he is. He's more satisfied. Why would he come? Why would he think of us? And then prior to this, they were saying that as a bee goes from one flower to another, taking the nectar and then abandoning that flower and going to another. So Krishna is just like that. He's just like that. He basically, he left us. He came. He had his pastimes with us. He left us, and now he's gone to another place. So he basically abandoned us. So like this, and then they say, as a priest, he collects rewards from his worshipper, and then when he collects his rewards, he goes to another worshipper, and he abandons this worshipper. He doesn't, think of this worshipper. So Krishna is just like that, and they give so many examples, of how Krishna abandons them by, just sort of saying, in one sense, he just used them, right? But this is on a transcendental level, so we cannot really understand this. So another gopi said, it is an unreasonable hope for us to expect Krishna to come back to Vrindavan. We try instead to be happy in disappointment. Even Pingala, the great prostitute, said that disappointment is the greatest pleasure. We all know these things, but it is very difficult for us to give up the expectation of Krishna's coming back. Who can forget the solitary conversations with Krishna, on whose chest the goddess of fortune always remains? In spite of Krishna's not desiring her, my dear Uddhava, Vrindavan is a land of rivers, forests, and cows. Here the vibration of the flute was heard, and Krishna, along with his elder brother, Sri Balaram, enjoyed the atmosphere in our company. Thus, the environment of Vrindavan constantly reminds us of Krishna and Balaram. On the land of Vrindavan are the impressions of his footprints. The residence of the goddess of fortune, and because such signs were, and because of such signs, we cannot forget Krishna. The gopis further expressed that Vrindavan was still full of opulence and good fortune. There was no scarcity or want in Vrindavan, for as far as material necessities were concerned. But in spite of such opulence, they could not forget Krishna and Balaram. Right, so the gopis were talking like mad, we want to forget Krishna, but we cannot forget Krishna because everything here reminds us of Krishna, his footprints, the tamal tree, everything here reminds us of Krishna, but we cannot forget Krishna. So the gopis were going on like this, and Uddhava was so astonished. He was thinking, oh my God, I came here to deliver a message, and here I'm getting some realizations that these are the most exalted personalities in the universe because they are trying to forget Krishna. Basically a devotee is always trying to remember Krishna, but these gopis are so absorbed in Krishna consciousness that they are actually trying to forget Krishna. So then Uddhava says, my dear gopis, I have a message from Krishna. So all the gopis, they huddled around Uddhava. What was the message? What was the message? And Uddhava read the message, and he says, my dear gopis, Krishna is speaking, my dear gopis, My dear friends, please know that we cannot be separated at any time because I'm all pervasive. Just like fire and air, cannot be separated. So here, the gopis are thinking like, now Krishna cannot be separated. Like now he's giving us like jnana yoga. He's giving us, what is this? We don't need to hear this. That he's all pervasive. So then Uddhava continues and he says, so too I cannot be separated from you, just like fire cannot be separated from air. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Man mana bhava mad bhakto mamyaji mam namaskuru. Always think of me, become my devotee, offer obeisances unto me, worship me, and this way you will be always, absorbed in me. So, we are trying to be absorbed in Krishna consciousness by engaging in devotional service, but here we see that the gopis are on a different realm, right? They are totally absorbed in Krishna. So then he continues reading the letter and Krishna says, this whole cosmic manifestation is resting in me and is not separate from me, because the creation, before the creation I was existing, right? And Srila Prabhupada gives an extensive purport, which we're not going to go through because of time constraints. It's already 8:30, but I'll just try to finish up now. Right? And, so Krishna continues and he says, transcendental knowledge is no longer necessary for you because you are accustomed to loving me right from the beginning. Right? And my dear gopis, to increase your super excellence of love for me, I have purposely separated myself from you, so you may be in constant meditation on me. So Krishna, he basically, he's saying that because you are so totally absorbed in me, and to increase your love for me, right, that I have separated myself from you, I have left you, so that you can always constantly think of me like this and be absorbed in me. And in this way, we are always together. We are not separate, right? So this is called Vipralamba Bhav, love in separation, right? And it is the highest type of love that the gopis experience for Krishna, love in separation. Union is called Sambhog, when Krishna is together with the gopis, and when they are in separation, it is called Vipralamba Bhav. So I will just read something to you from Gaur Govinda Swami, where he talks about this type of love, and he says that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is opposite emotions in one container, right? Opposite emotions, that means, he's in separation from Krishna as Radharani, is in separation, and he's also in basically in Sambhog, which actually it is like, he says it's called Visera Mitera Milan. Visera is poison, and Mitera is nectar, and Milan means together. So poison and nectar in one container. But here it is meaning the union and separation of Radha and Krishna, in one container, two opposites. That is Gauranga Mahaprabhu. Hey Gauranga, right? That is Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, having these two emotions in one. So that is the difference. He says that this is the difference between Gaura and Krishna. Otherwise, in Tattva, there is no difference, because Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna, right? And in the mood of Radharani. So in Tattva, they are the same. But it's just that these two, he says these two moods are in one person, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Radha and Krishna combined in one body, Srimati Radharani is always crying and feeling of acute separation from Krishna. She's always crying for Krishna. Where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? When Krishna left Vrindavan, right? That is Gaura Tattva. That is very deep. Tattva, Radha Bhav. She's always crying in separation for Krishna. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted this mood of Radharani, always crying for Krishna. And in one form, Sambhog and Vipralamba. So basically, he says Krishna is always in Sambhog, he's always in meeting with the gopis, like that, in Vrindavan. And he says Navadvip is the embankment of separation, because Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is always crying for Krishna, like this. And he says, therefore Mahaprabhu went to Purushottam Kshetra, which is Jagannath Puri. And Jagannath Puri, is the place of Vipralamba Bhav, because he says Jagannath is crying for Radharani. So, so we know the pastime of how Mother Rohini was relating the pastime of the residents of Vrindavan, and Lord Krishna came there, and when he listened to the pastime, his eyes grew big, and that is how he is known as Lord Jagannath. He took this form as Lord Jagannath because he was in ecstasy, right? That way his eyes grew big, his smile grew wide, just listening to the pastimes of the gopis, the Radharani, and Krishna's exchanges. So in this way, he's none other than Krishna, but here he is experiencing ecstatic emotions, and so therefore it is described that Purushottam Kshetra, or Jagannath Puri, is a land of Vipralamba Bhav, because Jagannath is always crying for Radharani, like this. And and he says that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is crying for Krishna, right? As Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as Radharani is crying for Krishna, and Jagannath is crying for Radharani. So basically it's for Jagannath Puri is basically Vipralamba Kshetra. And he's saying Rajabhumi Vrindavan, there's no crying. So it is always Sambhog. There is always meeting. So, when we chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Hare means Radharani, and, Krishna and Rama means Krishna. So we are bringing them together. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we are trying to bring Radha and Krishna together. So we'll stop here now because I went 6 minutes over time. Hare Krishna. If anyone has any comments, you're most welcome to speak now. Yes.
Hare Krishna. Okay, so going to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes. Okay, we all know that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself, as in the form of a devotee and plus in the mode of Radharani. My question is for this, to this point. 500 years ago, when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to go to Jagannath Puri to take darshan of the deities, where is the original deities from that temple?
When?
The original deities, when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to go to the temple around 500 years ago.
Hold the mic a little further. It's like.
Yeah, so 500 years ago, when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to go to Jagannath Puri temple, and he used to take darshan of the deities. So I wanted to know, I'm very eager to know where's the original deities from that temple. Where's the original deities of Lord Jagannath, Baldev and Subhadra?
Where's the original deities?
Yeah.
So every 12 years in Jagannath Puri, they change the deities, right? And there's like a whole big ceremony of those deities, and they basically do like a whole, where they bury the deities in the soil, and like that. So every 12 years this happens. So most probably these original deities are basically in Jagannath Puri, like that, in the ground. So this is the pastimes of Lord Jagannath in Jagannath Puri, where every 12 years they change the deities, and they have like a whole ceremony, of like a funeral ceremony, basically, where they bury the deities, and then they carve new deities, and they put them on the altar for the devotees to worship, like this. So the original deities of Lord Jagannath, Baladev and Subhadra, probably, the same must have happened, like that. So, Hare Krishna. But the deities that we have, that we may have in our homes or like that, is not different from the Lord Jagannath, Baladev and Subhadra. So when we look at our deities, we can be reminded of Jagannath Puri and Pralamba Kshetra, that Lord Jagannath is in this mood of crying for Radharani. We can think like this. So in this way, we'll gain a deeper appreciation for Lord Jagannath. That my dear Lord, when am I going to come to this platform like this, for, crying for you as you are crying for Radharani, like that. So Hare Krishna. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Krishna book ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Go Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.